Hi! I didn't plan this video, but I always wanted to talk about the stuff that I'm going to talk about. My name is Janine, I'm from Germany, and this is a video about myself, and it's a video for everyone who is simply not able to eat in public without getting extremely nervous, without feeling sick, and without eventually just deciding rather not to eat than enduring what they feel when they try to eat in public. I had this thing for about 5 years, and I'm still not over it. I'm naturally very skinny, so I'm very like slim or thin, how would you say it? I don't know. But I never was even thinking about like weight or body mass index or whatever. I was confident in my body and I liked it. And then I think it was 2008 or 2009 that sometimes when I wanted to swallow, I wasn't able to. I wasn't able to swallow. It was like when I didn't drink while eating, I was like trying to just get it down, and I was so embarrassed about it that I was embarrassed to eat with other people, and I was embarrassed to talk about it to anyone. It wasn't constantly, so it was not every time I ate, but from time to time it just occurred, and I started keeping a water bottle with me wherever I go, and I developed this kind of like addiction of having a water bottle with me wherever I go. And yeah, I just started feeling super insecure and embarrassed when eating with others in public, or yeah, just by myself in public. Then one evening I ate dinner with my mom, and I had this thing again, and I was just pretending to be like, I'm not hungry anymore, so I don't need to eat anymore. And she was like, you always say that, why? What is it? Why don't you want to eat? And then I told her, and then we went to see a bunch of like doctors, not a bunch of, but like 1 or 2, and the second one was like, okay, well, maybe that's just something in your head, but let me test something. And he went like on my shoulder, and I was like, oh, and he was like, oh, it's a little tense there. And so basically what it was, just because I had tensions in my neck, and it made it harder for my like throat, I don't know what this thing is called, but this thing, to just swallow food. And he was like, you need to do more sports. And I still need to do more sports, but I started doing more sports, and I started taking care of it, and I essentially don't have it anymore, and I don't have the addiction of having a water bottle anymore. But it was like, I think it was a year that I had this thing, and this year just completely like destroyed something in my mind, destroyed like the whole area for it is okay and it is comfortable to just eat your goddamn food in public. And I don't know if anyone else has the problem of not being able to eat in public for the reason that I got it, or for whatever reason, but from this point on I just wasn't able to eat in public or eat even with my friends. I was able to eat with my mom and my grandma. Like when I had a little snack that I was just not nibbling on, it was totally fine, but I wasn't able to go to a restaurant, order a complete plate of food and just get it into my system, eat it, swallow it like a normal person. I would get extremely anxious and I would get extremely sick. The same time around, I was talking to a guy I met online. Yeah, I don't know, it was an embarrassing thing. I basically just started talking to him because I felt like needing to have a boyfriend. But we talked online, and we like texted every evening. And one time he said something like, yeah, good night, and he texted a little heart emoji. And I was like, oh my god, that is and I was like, oh my god, I got a heart from a boy. And then I went to bed and suddenly felt like very sick in my stomach. I was like, what the hell is going on? And I was starting to shake, my legs were shaking, and I was getting so sick, and I wasn't able to move because I felt like throwing up. And I didn't know what this thing was. I freaked out completely, and I was like, oh my god, I need to my mom will have to drive me to the hospital. I don't know what this is, probably I will die. And I kept my light on because also I was so scared of just feeling lonely, and with the light on in my room I felt a little less lonely. Then my mom saw the light through the door and she was like, why is the light still on? Why aren't you asleep? And she was like, what's wrong? And I was like, I'm feeling so sick, and I was so crying because I absolutely hate the feeling of feeling sick. I hate it so much. And I was feeling like, I don't know what even I don't know what I even felt like. And my legs were shaking, and she saw it, and she was like, what's wrong? Is there something bothering you? And she just sat on my bed and talked to me, and she wasn't saying anything like, let's go to the hospital, or we need to get to a doctor or whatever. She was just talking to me, and I was talking to her, and I don't know how long it lasted exactly, but it must have been about like 3 to 4 hours, I think 3 hours maybe. And it ended up with my mom lying in my bed and me sitting on the bed and just talking about whatever just came to my mind. And suddenly I was like, oh, Mom, I'm not shaking anymore and I feel better. And she was like, well, that's good. Then just go to sleep, and yeah, I talk to you in the morning. And the next morning I woke up and still was like, what the hell was that thing last night? What was it? I was so scared, and I was still feeling sick because I was still nervous about it. My best friend came over, and I wasn't able to talk about it with her. So I just said, I'm not feeling well, blah blah. And I didn't eat anything the entire day because I was still feeling sick. And in the evening I was like, oh my god, I really need to eat something. I really need to eat something. And then I ate something, and the night I went to bed again, it happened again. So I was completely terrified of whatever, feeling sick, being terrified of feeling sick, and my legs were shaking. I wasn't completely controlling my breath. And this night my grandma slept in my bed, and I talked to her, and then eventually it just resolved into nothing and I was able to sleep. And from this day on I was completely terrified that it would happen again, because the first time it happened, when I was going to sleep, I was only afraid that it will happen at night or in the evening. So I wouldn't go to any friend in the evening. I wouldn't sleep over at anyone's house. I wouldn't go out. I wouldn't go to dinner, obviously not. During daytime it was okay, like when I had to eat somewhere, like when my friend was inviting me to want to hang out after school, I was like, yeah, okay, and then I ate a tiny bit just to pretend that I'm normal. And from that, not being able to eat in public, and also being afraid at the evening of being afraid that, like, feeling sick and not being able to control my body completely, I developed a certain fear of people thinking that I'm anorexic. Like, I was always like, if I go to the restaurant with my mom and I don't eat much and I don't eat like a lot, people will think that I'm anorexic, that I have an eating disorder because I'm so thin. And I was completely getting so insecure about my body because I was like, I'm too thin and people never see me eating. What if they think that? What if they think that? What if I lose weight and I will not, like, what if I will faint then? Or what if I will, and in these moments where I wasn't able to eat because I was feeling sick, I was always like, what if this stays forever? What if I will never be able to eat again? And I remember situations where I was like, oh, why is there even such a thing like eating? Why do people have to eat to survive? Because I was terrified of eating when it came to eating in public or eating with other people. When I was alone, it was completely fine. And I also remember that many nights I just maybe wasn't able to sleep or woke up in the middle of the night and I just went to the fridge and ate something, not a lot, maybe yogurt or whatever, because then was a situation where no one was around, where no one was even awake, and where I was completely just by myself and completely relaxed and was able to eat. A few years forward, this swallowing thing completely disappeared and I wasn't like so afraid anymore that I would not be able to swallow, but I was still so freaking afraid that these nights, I call them just these nights, I just called them like that, would happen because I didn't know what caused them. I was like, just like taking a look at it and I was like, okay, maybe it happens when I have my period. Maybe it happens when I eat too much. Maybe it happens when I eat too less. Maybe it happens when I'm stressed. Maybe it happens when I'm nervous about things, because you couldn't be sure that it happened when I'm nervous about things, but it also happened when I was by myself watching TV and suddenly I was like, my legs were shaking, I was feeling sick, I was like, and then the fear would come. Like, I just realized later that it came because I was afraid of it. Because I was afraid of it, I was like, oh my god, what if it happens? And then I start getting nervous, and it happens more likely when I got nervous. So it was like 6 years later that I understood that these were panic attacks. But they were weird panic attacks. So usually panic attacks last for about 20 minutes to half an hour. My panic attacks lasted for hours, minimum 1 hour, maximum like 3 or 4 hours, depending on the situation. If I was just at home, they lasted about like 2 or 3 hours. I remember one night not sleeping at home. Horrible for me that time. I was like, it was a weekend trip with my class then, and I was sleeping with a friend in my room, and I remember getting so freaking nervous in the evening. I wasn't able to have dinner, and then I wasn't able to sleep because I had it again. I was shaking, I was feeling sick, and my poor friend didn't even know what to do with me because I never talked to her about it. She was just like, are you alright? And I'm just like, yeah, I'm fine. And inside I was panicking because I was like, do something about it. You feel horrible. What will she think? What if it doesn't go away tomorrow? And it lasted for about like, I think 4 to 5 hours. And during this time, when it happened, like I always distracted myself with something. Usually I played Nintendo, or I was just watching videos, whatever. I hadn't discovered YouTube at that time. Like, my camera is just developing a life on its own. I had these nights for 5 to 6 years. I had no idea what caused it. Like I said, it just randomly happened with no specific reason, or like no reason why I could point out it only ever happens then. It just happens whenever it wanted to happen. It was horrible because it just kept me from just doing things and from living my life like I would have lived it without it. And it was in 2015 when I discovered YouTube, like not real YouTube, but like these kind of like YouTubers who just sit in front of a camera and talk to it, and I was like, I love that. I really do. And it was in summer 2015 that I came across a video of Zoella. It's her, I think it was her first anxiety panic attack video. It must be about 20 minutes long. And if you type in Zoella anxiety, it's like one of the first videos that pops up. Oh, no. Even before I found Zoella, I met another girl who we were in the same, like, what's it called? We were in the same uni class. One day we were just talking, and she was telling me that she has these panic attacks. Like, she can never tell when it will happen, she doesn't know what causes it, and she just feels extremely sick, and it would just happen in the middle of like a dinner or lunch at restaurant, and she doesn't know how to handle it, and she doesn't know what it is. And I was like, oh my god, I do have exactly the same thing. And I know that maybe it would be slightly different how it would feel like, and how we would handle it, but I was just like feeling so relieved that I wasn't the only person, because I thought I was the only person on this planet that would have that, because I was terrified of finding out what exactly it was. In my mind, I was going through everything. I was like, I have cancer, I have a brain tumor, I have like a hormone disorder, I have these, I have that, something physical. From time to time I was like, no, it's nothing physical, it's just in your brain and you need to control it, but I didn't know how. And then I was back to being nervous that it might be something physical, whatever. And she was just telling me, yeah, it's panic attacks. And I was like, panic attacks? I've heard of these before. But I never Googled it. I could have Googled panic attacks, but I didn't know that these were panic attacks because I was thinking of everything else except panic attacks. It was just like a weight lifted off my shoulders. In the same year, I was traveling to a friend who lives like in the south of Germany, and I live in the north of Germany, so it was quite a long trip, and I was quite a long time away from home. And there had been situations where I wasn't sleeping at home, or where I was someplace where my mother would not sleep in the room next to me, but I always hated these situations. I've always gone through them somehow, but I hated them. And my friend was inviting me, and I had no reason to say no. So I was like, I have to go. And this is why it is wrong. I was like, I wanted to go, but I was thinking about it as if like, I need to go. I need to visit a friend. It's something I have to do. It is not something that I choose, because I would rather stay at home in my safe little environment where to be honest, nothing would be different. It would make no difference if I would feel sick and be shaking at home, or if I would feel sick and be shaking in the room of my friend, because I wouldn't let anyone help me, and neither could anyone help me in these situations. Anyway, so I decided to go there, and I was like, I can do this. I am an adult woman, I can do this. And I remember the morning before like taking the train off to her city, I lay in bed and I watched this video of Zoella where she was talking about her anxiety, and I didn't know Zoella that well back then. This was like the first video I watched from her, and I was like, oh my god, there is like this beautiful girl who just does all the craziest stuff and who has like a job that she really loves and has a boyfriend and lives in her own house and is so independent. She has anxieties too, and she does all this stuff even though she has anxiety. And I was just, it was like mind-blowing for me that there are people who have this too, who are just like, but I'm not gonna let that keep me away from the life I want to live. And I was like some switch in my brain, some switch in my brain. Can you say that? Something switched, something clicked, something clicked, something clicked in my brain, and I was like, I want to do that too. I'm just here at home, not even seeing friends in the evening because I'm afraid that I will feel sick. Something is clearly wrong in that situation. And it was like the end of 2014 also that it started switching in my brain, but 2015 was really the year where I started just not playing by the rules of anxiety anymore, where I was like, I'm gonna do that anyway, F you anxiety. So yeah, that's just the little story of my experiences with anxiety, and ever since then I never had a panic attack. I had them still, but I had them like once or twice a year, and I used to have them like 3 or 4 times a month, sometimes even more. I never have them anymore without me knowing the reasons. I always know the reason why I'm now feeling anxious, why I'm feeling nervous, and now I'm able to control them. Like when I feel like getting anxious and feel like, oh, the panic attack is starting, it's coming. The panic attack is coming. I love Game of Thrones, by the way. I don't know how, but I learned to control them and to calm myself down, which is, I feel like, the most important thing when it comes to anxiety, because when you, or at least with me, it's when I have a panic attack, it's nice being surrounded by people, because now I also started telling people that I have these panic attacks. It's nice having them around and not feeling like, oh my god, I need to hide it because they mustn't know that I have a panic attack now. And it just is nice to have them around now and being like, I have a panic attack, and they being like, okay, what can we do? But the truth is, the sad truth is, they can't do anything because it's just in my head and it's just within myself, and only I can change something about it. Only I can calm myself down effectively. So I'm not a master of it, but yeah, I can do it pretty well, and it doesn't. When I have a panic attack, it doesn't affect me like it used to, because I'm not like, oh my god, what if this is like a brain tumor causing all of this? What if I'm gonna die within the next like 6 minutes? What then? I'm just like, okay, this is a panic attack. I'm nervous for the following reasons. Will one of these reasons kill me? No, they won't. Now calm yourself down, and then I'm calming myself down. It still takes a while to calm myself down. It's not like, oh, panic attack, I'm calm. But it's like, I know how to calm myself down. So that's basically like my story from beginning to the end, very roughly. But I always wanted to do a video about this because it was a horrible time for me just going through this. And I've gained so much now, and I've learned so much now. And I know that there are a bunch of people who like go through anxiety and panic attacks and who talk about it and who are a great help for people all around the world. And like for me, Zoella was my help. But I don't know, I think every anxiety story is different and everyone has different tips, and I just wanted to share my story, and I'm going to share more detailed stories and more like tips or how I just got over it, maybe in some more videos. So yeah, if you have anything to say about this video that is productive and it's helpful, or if you just agree or disagree with something that I said, please say it politely in the comments. And if you have anything to share from your stories, from your experiences, please share it in the comments. I would be very interested to read people's experiences, because like I said, when I heard the first time from another just friend experiencing these things, I was just like, what? This is a thing? Obviously, unfortunately, it is a thing, but luckily it is a thing so that we can help each other. Okay, that's it. I'm gonna go now, and yeah, see you in the next video about anxiety. What an exciting outlook. Okay, bye.